Hi, Leather Rokk here. Today, now when I post this, it's going to be the day before July 4th, which is Independence Day in the United States of America. And earlier today when I was doing my show prep, I knew I didn't want to do a makeup tutorial. I didn't want to do one of the usual superficial subjects that I often do on my channel. I wanted to do something that I thought was really important. Because there's more to life than makeup and skincare and all those things. Now, to my American viewers, of course, Independence Day, the 4th of July, that should be a very important holiday. It certainly is to me. July 4th is considered the birthplace of the United States of America, and I'm an American citizen. I was born and raised here, and I am not saying that it matters more to me than it would to somebody who maybe loved this country and applied for citizenship and did the process and waited and spent the money and did whatever the process entails to become a naturalized American citizen. But I have to acknowledge that many people who are born and raised here kind of take it for granted that we live in a free country that has this, it's not a democracy, it's actually a representative republic. And I think a lot of people take for granted the freedoms that we have here. And I just want to talk something about what the United States of America means to me as a citizen, as somebody who really lucky and proud to be here. And I'm going to tell you some things about my background and my family's background that I hope you don't think that I'm being arrogant. I hope you don't think that I have an attitude that makes me think that I'm better than other people. That's not what I'm trying to convey to you, but I think that by telling you something of my family's story, maybe it might make you have a more deep appreciation for this country if it's your country too. And if it's not your country and maybe you admire the United States from afar, maybe it might give you a little bit more of an appreciation. Now, about 10, 20 years ago, my grandparents had our family tree done. This is before the companies that advertise on TV now even existed. I don't know exactly the process that they did, but my grandparents had our family tree done, and not only on, these people and these things that I'm about to tell you are on both my mother's and my father's side of the family. And you are free to believe it or not believe, that's up to you, but this is the truth. My grandparents when they did our family tree, they found out that my family has been in America since the 1600s. We have relatives. One of my relatives is Lord Horatio Nelson, who I thought that he was the guy that defeated Napoleon in Waterloo, but I think that that may have been 10 years before or after Waterloo. I don't know. I'm not the most accurate and most perfect historian. I don't pretend to be. And since my grandparents are both dead now, I can't exactly call them up and clarify. And my mother is asleep, and anybody else that I could contact is not available. So I have to go by memory of what she said. But my family has been here since the 1600s, and so when people like to make the phrase America is a nation of immigrants, not all of us are from immigrant stock. Some of us were here before this country was even this country. I say certain things which might very well offend certain people, and again, that's not my intention, but I'm also not politically correct to the point where I have to watch every single thing that I say because I'm afraid of offending somebody, because there are some people that just seem to live to be offended. But the people who are called the American Indians, they like to call themselves as Native Americans. I kind of disagree. They may have been here, but the people that I come from, the people who are my descendants, they were actually colonialists. They were people that were here before the United States of America really was the United States of America. I come from colonial stock. My mother and my grandmother belonged to an organization called the Daughters of the American Revolution. I think there's one for men to belong to, which is like the Sons of the American Revolution. And in order to even belong to that organization, you have to have your family tree done, and you have to submit to some kind of test to make sure that you're in fact telling the truth. And my grandmother was able to do that, and so she joined. And at the time she joined, I'm sorry that I didn't join too, because it would really be a wonderful honor to be a part of that organization. But at the time, I kind of didn't care as much as I do now. And it doesn't mean that at some time in the future I might not join. But, and again, I'm not bragging, but our family has been here a long time. Our family was here before the Declaration of Independence was signed. Our family was here before some of those guys were even born. And the more I learn about Revolutionary War history, the more I learn about the beginnings of this great nation that I have the privilege of being born to live here, the more proud it makes me as an American. Now, how many of you have even read the Constitution? Do you own a copy of it? I have a fake parchment piece that I got, I think, at 7-Eleven. And actually, I had one prior to that I bought in Philadelphia, which is a wonderful city if you're into Revolutionary War history. Well, I have a couple of copies of this. This is a pocket Constitution. And this one is from the Heritage Foundation, if you've heard of them. I have another one that I got from Boy Scouts of America. Many, many moons ago, my mother was a leader of Cub Scout pack. And then after some years of doing that, she became a trainer of Boy Scout and Cub Scout leaders. And she did that for, good 20 years. And that we've seen a lot of changes come and go with the Boy Scouts. Most of which I kind of have to agree with, but this is not the subject of this video. But I'm showing you this Constitution because I want to encourage you, if you haven't read it, you really should. It's quite a remarkable document, and at the time it was a groundbreaking document. It was not a very common thing for colonies to just break off of the mother of the kingdom, queendom, commonwealth, whatever it's called, different times in history, before our founding fathers to take very serious risks to get together and to decide that the best thing would be to declare their own independence from the king was a very risky thing to do. They knew that they were risking being put to death. Many of them suffered horribly as a result of signing the Declaration of Independence. So what we have, which is the basis for our country, is a remarkable and fragile and wondrous thing that too many people take for granted. I mean, have you ever really read this? It almost makes me cry sometimes when I think about all the people involved and the great things they did. And it's not just people like Ben Franklin, who invented so many things and was such, I think, what would they call that term this day? They would call him a polymath. They would call him a Renaissance man because he invented many things. He was a worldly person. He spent as much time as he spent in England and as he spent here in the United States. He spent a lot of time in France. He was a well-traveled, well-educated man. And he's somebody that the more I learn about, the more I am really amazed about. Now, before my mother had me, she was a high school English teacher, and she always loved history. But even though she kind of wanted to teach history at first, back when she was a student teacher, the main history teachers seemed to be also physical education teachers, and they tended to be male. And it's hard for me to wrap my head around, but that's how it was then. But my mother was an avid lover of history, and one of the books that she used to help keep her students interested was a book called The Rise and Fall of Practically Everybody. Now, there's an international version, and there's an American version. Now, when I was living in San Francisco, I actually found the international version, which is full of all kinds of trivia, funny anecdotes about historical people, but she had the American version. They had some really interesting things about Ben Franklin. Such minutiae as he liked to take air baths. In other words, Ben Franklin liked to strip naked, and he would like to get in front of a window and open it, and I guess he would find like a platform, like a bed or a chair or a table or something, and he would I guess they didn't. He blew his lights out, I'm sure, because I don't think he was an exhibitionist. But he would let the air circulate over his body because fresh air is good. Which any man that wears a kilt will tell you, because they say men in kilts don't wear underwear. And they always say that for women, if you don't want a yeast infection or something, they wear cotton underwear, wear things that are loose flowing so that the air gets at you. Air usually helps you to heal better if you've cut yourself, like if you cut yourself shaving, or if you cut your feet on a shell when you're in the ocean. Air is very good to help protect you against getting bacterial growth and stuff. So Ben Franklin was ahead of his time with some of his ideas. And as many things as I can think to tell you about Ben Franklin, all of our founding fathers have really interesting stories which you should really learn about. I think that especially if you're an American citizen, the more you know about our country, the more you're going to appreciate being here. And when you think that there are people who will risk their personal safety just to get here because they want to be a part of this country so badly. Maybe it's because they want a better life. Maybe it's because they want to join their family. Of course, if you're going to do it, please do it the right way. Don't sneak in. Don't jump our barriers and jump our fences and bury and tunnel under and get smuggled and do all those things, because we are a nation of laws. And if you don't enforce your borders, and if you don't enforce your laws, you might as well not have a country. That wasn't really going to be the subject of my video. I didn't want to get into politics too much. I really wanted to talk about how July 4th, Independence Day, it's not a day just for cookouts and watching fireworks displays. It should be a day to think about being grateful for being in what I think has got to be the best country that's on planet Earth. It's a country where you actually can pursue your dreams. It's a country where I don't think you can be freer anyplace else. I know we're not perfect. I know that sometimes you have to deal with mediocre authoritarian figures, and occasionally you may run across a bad cop. And yes, there are corrupt politicians sometimes. But really, if you think about all the other countries, is there another country that's as good as ours? Can you honestly think that there's a place that's better? For all our country's faults, this is still what Ronald Reagan liked to refer to as that shining city on the hill. America is a physical place, and it's also an idea of a wonderful place, a sanctuary, a place where you are free to have big dreams and to go after your dreams, as long as you agree to be civilized and follow our laws so that you don't cause yourself to lose your freedom. Because let's face it, if you find yourself in jail, you're not very free. But this is really a great country that I am so glad that I was born into. I didn't have to go through a big trials and tribulations just to come here. I am here. I'm very grateful for that. And I really hope that if you were lucky enough to be born here, you take some time to think about what it means to be an American, and you realize how lucky you have it, even through the political swings that happen, because that's the way life is. This is still the best place to be. And while you're having your cookouts and you're watching your fireworks and you're eating your hot dogs and your hamburgers, or however you celebrate, please give a thought to our veterans, some of which paid the ultimate price. Give a thought to our flag. Yes, think about our flag. This is, I know it's got kind of tore up. I'm not going to tell you that this has actually been around since 1776. However, my family has had it since 1976, the bicentennial, and you definitely, if you have American flags, you should definitely fly them on the 4th of July. You should fly them on any patriotic holiday. And if you're a real hardcore American, you should fly the flag 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Now, there is information available if you want to access it that lets you know the proper way to raise and lower a flag. There's information on even things like if you have it flying 24 hours a day. You should have it lit. You should never let a flag drape on the ground. Anybody who's ever involved with Boy Scouts would know this. Anybody that's had loved ones in the military, or who's maybe the daughter of a vet. My father, who's no longer with us, he was a Korea War vet, and that's, I think, where I inherited a lot of my love for my country from, because my father always went to VFW meetings, and he also belonged to the American Legion, and my father loved our country so much. He didn't have to do things after he got discharged from the service and came back to America and met my mother and fell in love with her and asked her to marry him, and then 9 months later I showed up. My father raised me and my brother to love our country. My father never took it for granted. And so all the patriotic holidays, I keep flags up year round anyway. I have them in my windows. If our apartment building allowed us to have flags sticking out of poles, we would. But in our house, the American flag is always up, and we love our country. And if I can inspire my viewers, even if you're not American, learn about our country. And I don't mean just from the news outlets. Find yourself a copy of a Constitution. Read it. It's quite a remarkable document. Read the Constitution and read the Bill of Rights. I promise you, if it doesn't inspire you, if it doesn't make you think what a great country we are, what a great experiment this has been in democracy / representative republic that it is, what an amazing country we live in. I'm so proud to be an American, and if you're an American, you should be proud too. With that thought, my name is Leathur Rokk. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like me and you like my channel, feel free to subscribe. Hit the bell. You'll know when I make my next upload. I do it 3 times a week for your pleasure and mine, and I would love you to join my family. Happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, USA. Happy birthday, America. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.